And on this 150th birthday of the IRFU, it is Ollie and Olivia who bring the ball out. The referee is an Italian, Andrea Piardi, Nika Amashikeli and Gianluca Niecki. The assistants, TMO Eric Gorza. Bit has changed in 150 years. Pleased to say the dart still rattles not far behind us here in the main stand. But some of the old concrete, the historic wooden stands replaced by this space-age beauty. But the tingles remain. An Ireland and Australia once again. The highest of takes from Nick Frost. Lolesio, and then Wilson, the captain, back to Tom Wright. We were watching a week ago, you'll have seen Australia make a very bright, physical, purposeful start against Scotland. Lots of quick ball clearances from the rucks, lots of heavy carries engaging their big ball carriers like Wilson early on. It was only later that they rather lost their way as Scotland came into it, but Australia with lots of possession here early on. Lolesio down low, but picks out Wright, and Wright says it's time for Ireland to have a go. In the form of Sam Prendergast. Over halfway goes the returning fullback Hugo Keenan. Prendergast thought about kicking, held on late-ish to engage Henshaw. Both sides with an early taster. Again, Prendergast. And then that's nicely done by Van der Fleer. Just changing the point of attack, enough to put a misstep in Australia's defensive stride. Flung out by Henshaw, where we find Bundy Aki for the first time, and Aki warming his shoulders.
No! That's on ground.
Prendergast. Joe McCarthy.
Yeah, we play on, I saw it.
Prendergast, and now he does kick, and that was a tough one for Lolesio to take.
An early indication of how both sides are going to start this game, at least. Australia trying to get wide as much as possible. The passes from the scrum half in and around the ruck, very, very long. Ireland happy to play a little bit narrower. Two pods of forwards down the middle of the field, just the wings keeping the width either side. And that really, to me, is the game. Australia not got the power up front, I don't think, in that front five that Ireland have. They probably feel that they do have opportunities with their power along that back line, and they want a little bit of fatigue and some wider gaps in defence for those men to attack one-on-one.
If you look at the numbers, Ireland in the first couple of games really struggled to get to the width, even though the quality of their passing was good. They didn't quite get the likes of James Lowe into the game, Mac Hansen. That improved last week against Fiji. Much more touches, a couple of tries, which is all important for your back three. Just confidence levels built a little bit, and there's no doubt they're going to try and get to the extremity as much as they can. Try and work that Australian defence around the corner. They don't want to get into that zigzagging motion around coming back where the previous phase has come from. They've got to work the Australians around the corner, exhaust them, and that's when the opportunities in the mismatches will lie.
Andy Farrell, Joe Schmidt, two most successful coaches in Ireland's 150-year history. Head-to-head today. Joe found his way to the away coach's box. He wasn't entirely sure that he'd get there, but he has. First time for him after so many times in the home seats.
Yeah, Key's already had one carry. Just wonder whether he might fancy getting into that midfield early. Try and attack Lolesio.
Guys, both of you, come in.
Keep Len Ikitau outside him, honest, and preserve some space in those wide. Charles Bryan was just talking about Sam Prendergast as well. One thing that does remind me of Johnny Sexton is his ability to go a long way to the line. He often gets hit, something Sexton used to do, but he will take the ball all the way to the line to hold those defenders.
Show me a good scrum.
Mac Hansen just roaming in behind the scrum. He wants to not show his picture too early. Get into position late to make sure that the defence aren't able to number up exactly who they have show the picture that it's not going to actually transpire to be, to make it as difficult as possible.
Gibson Park, Aki, Prendergast opening up here. Keenan, they've managed to turn Ireland's defence, particularly with that burst from Keenan, and then he dropped it.
It's just speed, isn't it? Just speed of reaction. The green shirts react quicker to the referee's short arm penalty.
It's the quality of pass here. As soon as Sam Prendergast gets it out, it's bang out in front of Keenan, invites him to run onto it, and that's what creates the natural switch play. Keenan decides to hold on to it, but then is stripped just as he's about to go to deck. It's frustrating because a huge attacking position for Ireland. You recycle that possession, it's going to be very, very difficult to hold you out.
Wait for the ball, guys. Let's go.
Great tackle from Kellaway to strip that ball. Had the leg drive, didn't he, Keenan? Potentially might have even gone the whole way if he could have got a latch player to drive him, but just ball dislodged with that strong right arm.
Australia scrum half. Jake Gordon moved ahead of Nick White as the first choice more recently, and then away by Gordon to Kellaway. Kellaway ambitiously in a potentially dangerous area, finding Rob Valentini, who has had a tour that's absolutely polished his reputation. Brandon Paenga-Amosa with Matt Fesler still missing today. It's a safe clearance. The Wallabies at the end of a test year of change, really. It's been a frustrating, challenging at times year, but latterly signs of growth. Those wins against England and Wales. There will be no Grand Slam, of course, but there are green and gold shoots, and plenty for the first time in a while to be optimistic about.
As you said, before this series started, everyone was saying, well, are the Australians going to be a match for the Lions? They're so poor. Two weeks later, everyone's talking about Joe Schmidt potentially being coach of the year, so shows how quickly things can change in Test match rugby. A good performance, just a little bit of momentum and psychological improvement, and suddenly the shackles come off and teams can start to play.
Ireland won the line out, but it was brilliantly read by Rob Valentini.
Porter there, just got to be careful he doesn't hit Valentini in the head, and Valentini doesn't like it.
No jumping highest, catching it ahead of Kellaway. Oh, then Beelan not fully focused on what he should have been fully focused on.
That was it. Mistake compounded with another one, wasn't it? Valentini was the one that read through, and not only did he get his lifter up in the air, but he read through brilliantly well, just getting his timing right, and Beelan had already thoughts around what he was going to do with possession prior to getting it into his breadbasket. It came at a rate of knots. Frustrated still not to take that opportunity to put that right in the scrum.
He's got to take that catch, but
let's go, guys, please.
The accuracy of what the 9 delivers is so important, because it hits him up around the shoulder. He has to stand upright. He's thinking, I need to be in a squat position. I've got 3 yellow shirts coming towards me, or gold shirts for any Australian fans, I apologise, coming towards me. I've got to be in a position to take it. And the ball's slightly high, just those little tiny details, and that's something certainly Joe Schmidt very, very hot on as well.
Gordon told to play it. Kellaway, he's got through a ton of work, Andrew Kellaway, on this tour. Likewise, Valentini, as we've already mentioned. He's upright here, though, and he's being held on to by James Ryan. Valentini managed to get it to ground, and Gordon can dig again, but Wright not holding onto it for long. Lolesio. This is Ikitau, Len Ikitau, switching between 12 and 13 on tour, back at 12 today, and then the charge from Tupou and Valentini, and for half a second, if that pass had been more accurate, Ireland were exposed. Still might be, as Kellaway once more goes to work. A little bit too cute in the end from Wright, but for half a second.
I'll tell you, very, very slick handling from Australia here. Look at the quality. Tupou not overplaying his hand. You would have thought a lot of tight heads there. See open space, they're just charging at the nearest defender. We've got a TMO check for head contact, I believe.
So, Eric, you want to show me head contact on number 8 goal?
No, by 4 green.
Yeah, on 8 goal, by 4 green.
On 8 goal, yes.
So Joe McCarthy
Okay,
on
we're
Harry
going on
Wilson.
for
This
us,
is Eric Gorza, our TMO.
Coming now.
He knows, doesn't he, McCarthy? He knows it's him they're looking at. That try and look innocent face.
Just wondering whether it might be on Rob
It's coming.
Valentini rather than Harry Wilson. We'll find out here. Yeah, it is Valentini, and that is height.
He'll be safe from certainly a red because he loses the collision. He doesn't actually make an active movement forward for the tackle. Valentini goes to him. He gets upright, but he's just trying to get his head out of the way, actually. Often if you get a timing of a tackle wrong, you stand upright to try and give yourself a little bit more room.
Eric, we have the decision.
It's on the cusp, isn't it? Because there is head collision and the hinge isn't quite as you would have anticipated.
I saw the action in line speed. For me, it's a low level of danger and no more than a penalty. So I started with the game against with a penalty against number 4 green.
Agree. The mark is 30 meters in front of the post.
Thank you.
Well, it's not a card of
front
any
of the
colour, it's
post,
just a
you said.
penalty.
In front of the post, 30 meters.
I think it's a good outcome. You know, lots of people will be shouting at the TV
Okay.
saying, well, head collision, the
Passive, low level of
inconsistency of this type
Easier.
of
Yeah, they told me
contact,
easier.
you know,
Much
should have
easier.
been sent to the sin bin, but
danger. No, for me, it's a low level of danger, passive.
As you hear the referee saying low level of danger,
And I
on
watch it in
another
live
day he
speed
could
because
find himself
it's
doing
better to
10
see in
minutes.
live speed
I
instead of
completely agree with
slow
that decision,
motion.
though. You could see him. It wasn't an active tackle.
What does it mean 30 meters? So
He's
outside
literally
22?
just trying to make room for himself, having realised he's got the lineup of the tackle wrong. He's got his head in the wrong place.
Yeah, here. Perfect.
Good officiating.
At the end of all that, it'll be a penalty for Australia and the ACT Bromby, Noah Lolasio. It's been Joe Schmidt's go-to 10 so far this year. Ben Donaldson and Tom Liner have been around. Tane Edmed will make his debut off the bench later this afternoon here in Dublin. But for the large part, it has been Noah. And he guides Australia's arc into a 3-point lead.
Over there, the ball was out, and I agree with you. But the ball went out.
It's a good start from the visiting side.
Yeah.
So many sides have come to Dublin over the course of the last 18 months, 2 years, and been behind an early score. A lot of the play has been in the middle of the field, but not fortuitous to pick up that penalty, but taking advantage of it and keeping that scoreboard going, even when you haven't really gotten into your game, is all important in Test match rugby.
Joe McCarthy making sure he was absolutely as low could be as Valentini charged at him just then. Keane, now was, as Max Jorgensen thinks, taken out there.
I think that's a good decision because although Jorgensen's chasing, there's no deliberate slowdown. Doesn't change his line in running back, and Jorgensen, I think, tries to milk that penalty. Watch him on the left-hand side of your screen. There's no real change. Doris just moving backwards. He's entitled
If
to get
anything,
that.
Doris looks over his right shoulder to whoever the chaser is in that side. He doesn't see Jorgensen coming, so I agree with you. He runs right into him, trying to milk something.
Carefully tapped down by Ryan. Less carefully, Aki clattering through midfield defenders. Doris. Oh, Beelan again for the second time in the opening 10 or so minutes, not cottoning on. Lolaseo, that went forward, so back for the Wallaby scrum.
Just a really good example here of a tackle that won't get raved about as a huge hit, but stops Doris dead. And that's the difference between Beelan making a mistake and being on the front foot.
Goal was
and
coming
not
with an angle. He
really
did not
good.
forward out.
Low
Last one much better.
body shot from Payanga
So
Hermosa,
that's the mark.
and then as it comes across, they
No,
just
last
don't
one.
have
You
that
show me a
momentum.
good picture.
Elam should be catching that.
Please the same.
A couple of mistakes for
Let's go,
him, but
guys, please. Let's go. Hurry up with the scrum.
that's a really, really good shot stopper of a tackle from the Wallabies hooker.
Tyke Furlong was standing down below on the touchline yesterday, watching the captain's run. His hamstring that he injured in the training camp in Portugal, keeping him out at the moment, but hopefully back in time for the Six Nations early in the new year. There he is. The Australian scrum. Momentarily on casters just then, but all safely away and cleared to touch by Lolesio.
Excellent clearance kick as well, under quite a lot of pressure, relieving pressure right up to the halfway line. Nice little start from Lolesio, kicking his goal, just marshalling troops, and wants to get a little bit of possession so they can get into a bit of pattern play. Really effective stuff we've seen in the Autumn Nations series from them thus far.
That's the second line out that has not gone entirely to plan. Wilson, unassuming leader, took over from Alan Alatoa in August. And here's James Slipper. Goodness me, he's got some memories. And Lolesio just starting to make them really in Test match rugby. This is Keenan. Leinsterman to Leinsterman. Low.
Stop.
So it's a gap between Kellaway and Lolesio. That's what you call a net gain, I think.
Yeah, nice pressure from Low. Double job, good kick down the middle. We see so often sides are protecting against that 50-22, so you see the two back players hugging the touchlines. It creates so much space in the middle of the field. Good kick action by James Lowe, followed up with a good chase and put Kellaway under pressure to deliver not one of his better kicks.
Ireland needed to win the line out and did, to the front of McCarthy, and Lowe involved again. That's gone behind Prendergast. Didn't panic, however. And took it down onto the pitch where Ireland can recycle. Doris to Ronan Kelleher. And then Gibson Park. But Wright had judged the kick well, but the quality of the kick was such that Wright could do nothing more about it.
Really nice effort from Ireland here. They don't quite get the final pass, but Lowe comes off his wing. He's first receiver. Then you go to Aki out the back. Prendergast, that ball's going to him. There's a 3-on-2 on the outside.
You change the ball, guys.
Perfectly executed in terms of running lines by the home team. They just couldn't quite find the accuracy in the delivery.
There's Brandon Payanga-Hermosa. Matt Fesler's grumbly calves, grumbling a little, so it is the Western Force hooker. Plays his rugby in Perth, getting another go. Williams, it was a fabulous effort from Byrne to try and steal it. There was a painful coming down to earth for Byrne. The Wallabies have the ball still.
Use it!
Gordon.
Really good defensive set from Ireland. They weren't giving an inch.
Set the line on where you are.
Gordon was looking to create a better angle for himself, but he didn't get any go forward from his pack. Such were the collisions from Ireland. And as a result, when you're kicking on the back foot, it puts additional pressure on you, and you don't often get the exit you're looking for.
To the front, and Doris, despite the best efforts of Wilson. Australia are competing aerially here, but it's Ireland and Aki. Doesn't take the hit, gives the pass. It was Hansen who continued the process to the left. Keenan.
Brilliant defence from Kellaway again. Stepped in and still managed to recover on the outside man.
Doris to Aki under some pressure. Ball there to be won. Australia ball. It's Fraser McWright at the bottom of it all.
Isolated. 2 men on the ball.
Valentini was there as well.
Holding.
It was actually Valentini bites in unnecessarily on the short runner, creates space. Aki did exactly what he needed to do, but the problem was Bealham got himself isolated as players felt as though there was the offload there rather than trying to clear the ruck. Was it McWright managed to get in? We know how good he is in that jackal position, but Valentini looking for big shots. That's what Ireland need to do. They need to create that uncertainty at the line, who the ball carrier is going to deliver to. That short pop pass is out the back, and then when it does get to the likes of Aki in that position behind, he's got to square around the corner.
Good timing for the insert.
Ireland going to the tail, or rather Australia going to the tail and picking out Frost. Once again, these threats through midfield of the smaller runners and bigger runners like Frost once more. Gordon, Tupou. His weight around in the test match again today. Lolesio, Wilson, Wright. This is really nice. This is Ikitau. Sabatini, Wright, Slipper. And Lolesio, oh, that might work. Jorgensen chasing, but he was covered by Keenan. With enough shirts there.
Use it! Use it!
Jameson Gibson Park in his natty new old Ireland shirt today. That's what they wore back in 1875. I suspect they weren't quite as form-fitting as that. I wasn't commentating then. Old joke, but a good one. But yeah, a little nod to the old days. It's a little bit greener, I think. That's as much as I can say about it style-wise. Gordon. As Swalili chases. We know what Swalili can do, and Henshaw did well, but it's still Australia, and they'll score here, surely. Right with the pass out, and Callaway, brilliant defending from Prendergast. Still the threat. Paenga Abolsa. Well, for a moment, it looked as if the Wallabies had to score. Somehow, Ireland got numbers back. Prendergast did his job. Gordon screaming for it. Slipper. Australia penalty. Lolesio, so this is free ball. Ikitau back to Lolesio. Right again. Now, Jorgensen! Should have scored on the right. Do score on the left.
Just squeezes in. I think they'll check it. But all comes from a tactic that I think is going to be huge for Australia for the next few years. With the impact of Joseph Suaalii, the best I've seen in the air. Well, I was going to say, for a long time, I can't really remember seeing many better in my life than this guy in the air. All he's got to do is pan it back to his team, gets a bit lucky with the bounce. Great tackle there from Prendergast coming across, but they don't panic, having dragged them one way. They know there's space out there. Little loop around play. Lolesio gets it out, and Jorgensen ensures that his feet stay facing in the field as he slides over with his body towards the corner flag.
Lolesio on the stillest of still autumnal days in Dublin, and midway through this first half, Australia 10 points to the good. Wasn't quite the Twickenham moment for Max Jorgensen when he put his name up forever in Australian lights with that late winner against England, but that'll do.
The ball handling from Australia in this first 20 minutes has been really eye-catching. Passing before or after contact, little flicks, small touches, keeping the ball alive, making sure that Ireland can't set defensive lines, creating confusion. Really high quality, followed up with an error that Valentini won't want to see.
It's the knock-on show for both teams at the moment. Slipper.
He certainly does.
Well, the referee, Andrea Piani, happy to carry on running around. Gordon. It's interesting to see Australia not messing around in their 22. There's no need for ambition. They're just getting rid of the ball as quickly and as far as they can. Did that go forwards or backwards? Backwards was the call.
Thought it had gone right through the breadbasket, hadn't touched an arm. It did, but it was considered to be side-on enough for the ball angle to come direct down and not go forward.
I think he's lucky that it bounces that way rather than forward. If it bounced forward, the referee wants a little look at it. I'm not sure this is a moment that the TMO needs to come in on.
After he lost the ball.
So what we want to check is the action by 6 goals.
Action by 6 goals.
The possible leading with the elbow.
Exactly.
Foul play by Rob Valentini.
Sticks
of,
the
Matt
forearm out,
Hansen.
doesn't he, to
Yeah.
try and protect himself, but it goes into the face with the throat.
The issue there, it's the non-ball carrying arm, isn't it? If you do that, put the force through with the ball that you have in your arm with that forearm, you'll get away with it, but not with the other one.
It's the separation from the body is what they look at, isn't it? There's clear movement away from the body of the arm.
I will show you the
Certainly
Istanbul
meets
now.
the yellow card threshold, I think.
And, guys, give me some space. And I want to see in real speed as well, please.
I will show you slow-mo and then real
There's been
speed.
a certain amount of frustration in this from Valentini, having thought that he'd knocked the ball on. And this is what happened next. Just that separation
I think
then,
the
isn't it, that
majority
might be
of
his
the forces on the
downfall.
The only thing from that angle is one thing they do look at is
That's
the
best angle.
Okay,
is the
Eric,
palm
come back to me.
facing
We
as
have
though
the
it might
season,
be
please.
attempting to make a handoff.
So
I don't
I
think it
see
is.
leading with the elbow, a lot of the force is on the body, not on the neck. Low level of danger, penalty against 6 goal.
Can I shoot?
No, I'm happy with penalty only, thank you. Low degree of danger, penalty. Ooh.
Taken quickly by Prendergast, but... Oh! Frustrating P. Pompiani's whistle from his perspective.
It's been met with boos here, but I think it's the correct decision after a Timo
Because we
decision.
stop the time and they need to go at 10.
I've got to allow the team to get back into position. Reset. I love the thinking from the 21-year-old, 22-year-old. No shortage of confidence there to take a quick tap, and memories of Ron Nogara against South Africa 2004.
Taken by Byrne. Ireland folding round with Ronan Kelleher. Backs involving themselves as well. Mac Hansen's there. Taken to the ground, however, so Australia have done the first job. Ireland will need to reset. It was taken to the floor illegally by Taniela Tupou.
Free collapse.
Really
Number
adept
4
Ireland.
legal. Number 3 collapse.
At this
Number
drive,
3.
they often bring a couple of the back line in to just as soon as they start to get any traction and then move off the mark, the referee's arm comes down to allow two of the backs to come in and just give them that impetus. That's where Australia need to cause the mayhem before they get that first step off the mark.
5.
Wasn't the best setup. Van der Fleer a little bit high as he went in to take the ball. Just needs a little bit more.
Once again thrown to Byrne at the back, Van der Fleer. And then Doris standing off in midfield just for this moment. Oh, the strength! And helps with Archie latching on as well. Ireland players with arms outstretched. Australia offside. Van der Fleer! Josh Van der Fleer for Ireland. And some much-needed Irish light.
Yeah, we've seen this huge variety this Autumn Nation Series from Ireland. They've gone off the top a bit from these 5-metre lineouts. Not many sides do that. Just mixing it up, making sure the opposition defence are kept guessing. Really good carry and leg drive from Doris into midfield, and then it was just a case of holding possession.
Is a yellow card, but we set the mark for a penalty.
Josh Van der Fleer continuing his really impressive campaign. He's been outstanding the last few weeks, getting through so much of a workload. A good score from him, but loving Ireland mixing things up, making sure that they're difficult to analyse. Teams expect the drive.
Well, it's unconverted, but Van der Fleer has now scored 3 tries this autumn against the All Blacks and Fiji and now Australia.
He's so good on this line, but he sees Kellaway struggling to get back into position there, and it's Kellaway that he targets. He runs outside and outside line, and Kellaway never gets his body back into that sprint start position because he's only just arrived. He targets the man that's going to be most disrupted, and he goes right through him for the score.
Henshaw, oh, he's beaten to it again by Swaliti. He is cornering the market.
In the air.
In the kick chase. Porter. And then Henshaw again, and Keenan. Here goes Lowe. Was he taken out illegally?
I think that was. I think he definitely could have pulled out of that one.
I don't know if he committed enough to get away with it, though.
Callaway.
Leave the ball, go on, leave the ball! Not on.
TMO Eric Gorza telling us that
James Lowe's not happy. Really nice slick passing. It's actually a good option from James Lowe because it was covered in the backfield. But I think, look, he's committed to the tackle. I think you're always going to get away with that, provided you've begun your action. He knows exactly what he's doing. You can see it coming, but you're entitled to it once you've committed to that initial tackling action.
Okay, let's go. Coach.
Bind. Side.
Lot of steps.
Gibson Park takes it quickly, too low. Brushes off the challenge of Lolosio. Prendergast. And then Henshaw back on the loop to Prendergast. Nicely done. Little echo, shadows of Sexton just then. Matt Hansen just does enough to stay on the pitch. McCarthy popped back out to Doris.
Earned it brilliantly there. He saw his player getting isolated. He'd overrun it, but he came back and was the first into the contact.
A couple of Wallaby tacklers stopping Van der Fleer. Prendergast. Aki misses out. Henshaw to involve Lowe. Lowe was looking to cotton on to Kelleher. Never made it.
Just two players reading things slightly differently. Lowe thinks if he can get out to the outside defender, Mates can bite in. As they play around the back, he can leave some space on the outside. Just at the moment that Kelleher thinks, now he's coming towards the touchline, I need to cut back on his inside.
Brian, Sam Prendergast or Jack Crowley today, Crowley or Prendergast, explain why Andy Farrell has gone for him rather than the other.
Listen, with the greatest respect to Fiji, you think about the quality that Australia have shown in this Autumn Nations series. You want to get a sense as to what both tens are like playing against high quality opposition, and obviously Jack got the opportunity against the All Blacks, and now after a pretty good debut against Argentina, we're getting a sense as to what Sam Prendergast is about. I thought he had some really lovely touches. It wasn't a perfect game for him last week against Fiji, but some beautiful touches. He definitely does have that capacity to hold the ball later to the line. He doesn't run very fast with it, but it's his body shape almost mesmerizes defenses or ties them in, and then his ability to be able to flick those passes at the last second is a real point of difference.
Oh, we see that already today. Playing at Amosa, compressed line out. Williams was at the front, it was sent to Frost at the back, and Valentini thumps it up. Not much ground after the initial contact, however. Solid wall of green.
You're pretty sure when that ball comes out exactly who's going to get that ball in. Valentini. The initial tackle was good, but Van der Fleer comes in and just slams the door shut.
And still missing Dan Sheehan, the knee injury in the first test of the summer tour to South Africa. Over the top, deliberately to McCarthy. Gibson Park, Henshaw, Prendergast again. The latest of late passes to employ Lowe. Hansen just switching wings. Low on this near side, right-hand side. Keenan can snake his way through. Doris. Henshaw, and off the floor nicely by Kelleher, and then McCarthy not far away. Oh, it's been won back by McWright. He is an absolute hoover over the ball, and he's done it again for the Wallabies. And Lolaseo completes the job.
It's an excellent defensive set from Australia. Some really good attack from Ireland. Again, really stretching, quality pass out in front. But Australia don't panic. They're not biting in on anyone. They're getting their spacings correctly. Yes, they do get busted, but then every side does. It's how you react to it, what the scramble is like thereafter. It's a great clear out.
I speak with my guys. Yeah.
But then McWright gets in just in the nick of time. It looks as though the ball is actually jackled, and maybe the credit doesn't lie with Wright. It goes with McWright, but actually he was in there long enough.
And no full play on 15 gold. I was there.
Just one thing
He was in a jackal position. Green tried to remove him.
I've been noticing about Ireland is when they make that pull-back ball
Time still off.
to Prendergast, it's always directly behind the player who's carrying the ball, so it means that anyone who reads that play in the wider channels, they can't fly out and hit that man early. If he's a little bit behind or a little bit in front, it allows other defenders to get involved, but the initial runner who's making the pass is sitting down the defender, which is just buying him an extra fraction of a second to calculate his pass straight behind. Just watch what that does, particularly to Sualihi. He's got 3 runners coming into his channel and a man out the back. He has to stand flat-footed, and then he loses all his line speed.
Low, Aki. Everybody away to this right-hand side, including the captain, Doris Byrne, no way through. Some of the short-range tackling from both sides has been very impressive. Neither defensively giving much ground. Keenan, and that's been lost by Low. Slipper. Only Wallaby today who was part of their last win here in Dublin in 2013, James Slipper. Between the legs from Tupou, and here goes Wilson. He has got Frost. Frost giraffed his way in from 50 metres against Wales not so long ago, but not quite so much room there. However, McWright continues it going.
There's no one home as well. Little chip kick, if anyone identifies it.
Wright does. Kellaway head down. Kellaway against Henshaw. Kellaway might get there first. Ooh. Oh, I had to make sure of that, Ireland.
Brilliant from Frost. Read the play, puts Wilson through, and then realises the opportunity to get the ball back through the legs. The little delay pass does really well. And he's in support. Unfortunately, Lolaseo can't quite get there in support, a little bit drifting off as the initial break's made.
Let's go, 10 place.
The kick actually needed to be more central.
Oh, the ball's been... For half a second, Slipper was dreaming of headlines.
Knock on in front.
Ireland saved by a knock-on.
Of the goal player.
Apologies from Nick Frost. Will Skelton, by the way, back in the top 14 today. He's playing his 100th game for La Rochelle against Van. This match not part of World Rugby's Test match window, so La Rochelle within their rights. Ronan O'Gara within his rights to pull him away from this contest.
Guys, come here. Yeah, put them with you.
Is he not looking for a gig in the national team now?
Open, guys, open, please.
Ronan Kelleher out on Australia's 10-metre line. McCarthy highest, started every single test this year. Joe McCarthy. And the Flair, Ireland's try-scorer. Ooh, and then Tupou, he's going to go the whole way. He might need some help here. He's got Sualihi, and he couldn't make up his mind. And Sam Prendergast did brilliantly, just to shadow him, just to be there when the ball was away. Australia had the penalty, but for a moment, gloriously, we thought he was going to run in from about 5 miles.
That's a great intercept, knocks the ball up into the air. That means He gives himself the benefit of the doubt if he knocks it on, but he regathers the ball and he's off.
Decision, guys.
Gibson Park does well. Unfortunately, Tupou doesn't see that Prendergast has got back over his shoulder, tries to throw the old no-look David Campese.
He's been watching highlights of that 91 World Cup semi-final. Timmy Horan, Campese to Timmy Horan. What a try that was against New Zealand.
Well, I reckon Tupou there must have run about as far as he has all year. He was setting up the oxygen in the dressing room at half-time. Anyway, Wallabies still have the penalty. Slap bang in front of the posts. Noah Lolaseo, the Wallabies by 8.
They've been good for it. Ireland have made too many handling errors and gifted too many opportunities at the breakdown for Australia. Every time they've been applying the pressure bar the try, Ireland have sort of let the away side off the hook, and so much pace in this Wallabies team that they can cut you from anywhere. Happy to play from their own 22, even happier if you've just gifted them a turnover.
Crossed underneath this, posted by Valentini and Wilson. The ball was then loose and Ireland very nearly won it back, but once again Wright doing what he needed to do. Such a scrapper, Brian.
That's outstanding from him. Realised the ball had broken from the ruck and needed to pick it up, and carrying for 4 or 5 metres in contact.
Prendergast, late call to go for the kick. Keenan tried to turn it into a good one, turned it into a very good one. Oh, if he could only have got the ball off the floor to Gibson Park, but he
just wonder if this will get checked by the TMO. Not that it's a late hit, but is there any sort of wrap from Sualihi? Almost gets his arm in the wrong position across the body. I don't think there's too much in it.
Time off. What's happening here?
Fairness to him, I think he just tried to pull out of it. Yeah, I think there was going to be a wrap when he realised that he was late into it.
He's recovered from that shuddering tackle on Sione Tui Pelotto last Sunday. Hit so hard he thought he might have actually broken his right wrist, but as the week wore on, it was clear that he was okay, and I think that tackle will be cleared by Eric Gaurzin as well.
I think he's defending brilliantly well.
Ready, guys?
In fact, Australia are as a unit, as a backline unit. Ireland are asking so many questions, and that's always the query, particularly in a difficult defensive position like 13, when you don't have many minutes behind you. It's a different setup to league defending, but he has looked seamless in conjunction with Dikatau, Lolaseo guiding them as a 3. They've had all the answers. Jorgensen and Kellaway have plugged in exactly as you would want from wingers. As soon as a decision to hit in happens, the wingers have followed suit. Really, really strong defensively from the Aussies.
Australian scrum designed these days by the great Mike Cron. He spent about 500 years with the All Blacks. He's been tempted across to Australia by Joe Schmidt. Pack loving listening to him. Meantime, Swatali in the backs trying to conspire. Gordon. Kellaway wasn't far away. And it was an important tackle made by Lowe, but still this threat. Jeremy Williams, one of the Wallabies class of 2024, one of the debutants this year, but Australia have lost possession.
What a steal for Tyson. Goes through the middle of the breakdown after the ball's been lifted and just steals it. Plays the arm, gathers the ball.
Ty Byrne reclaiming the shirt from last week's debutant Cormac Isachukwu today. Byrne back into the back row. 5 minutes to go, Brian.
One thing I'll say about Sam Prendergast, he's picked up where he left off from last week. He's been very brave on these kicks, looking for every last metre. He did kick one dead against Fiji, but he's been very, very accurate. And the difference between the opportunities you have as a line-out maul this close to the line, it gives you more variety, more options.
Oh, Bird never got off the floor. As a result, Fraser McWright picks it up for Australia. Lolesio. Swali'i. He's pulled down importantly by Henshaw. Ikitau.
Release! Release 8! Release!
Up to this point, Australia have been happy just to clobber the ball off the pitch, and they are again now.
They'll have a little explore first, won't they, though, Australia? More than happy, wherever they are on the field, to have one shot at it, see if they can crack open an Ireland team trying to get back and transition into defence, get those players back deep.
It's one of those things, isn't it? And he will tell you, Brian, and you will know that particularly off turnover ball, you have a look first, you see what might be on in open space.
In a perfect world, turnover ball, you get 2 passes, get the ball away from the point of contact is, because you never know what mismatches you might get out wide, and that's what you're looking for. Get type 5 players in uncomfortable positions.
Gordon to Wilson. It was Matt Hansen in an uncomfortable position just then, but Hansen did well, worked hard with the ball on his feet. Beelan for Ireland.
Release one! And use it! Hey, that move. Hand down. Touch.
So came a long way forwards there to make life difficult for Hansen. Kelleher rather flung the ball away, but it is still Ireland's, and Prendergast again. There's a lot of Johnny Sexton about him, just the way he looks as well, Sam Prendergast.
And similarly, it doesn't look as though he's a huge threat himself, but whatever he does with his body language, with his body shape, it's hard not to get drawn into it from a defensive position.
Morganson staying down after Beelan. Sort of followed through with the charge down, just took his legs away.
Johnny Sexton was at the IRFU's 150th birthday party last night. You were there as well, Brian.
I was.
It was good bash.
I was actually Johnny Sexton's chauffeur-driver to the event.
Were you?
Yeah, I wasn't given the honour of driving him home.
You were the designated driver.
Yeah, I was. I certainly was. I'm working today, Nick.
Well done.
Maybe there is, maybe there's not.
Top table for the last time till Cian Healy beats his record.
Yes, and now you're yesterday's news, I'm afraid.
Well, I was actually Johnny Sexton's photograph taker last night. I'm not lying.
Would you mind?
Eric? Okay.
We're having a look at this late
but
hit.
it's whether Beelan makes an effort to charge down, and it's part of that effort that ends up taking him, because it is quite late. Goes underneath Jorgensen after it.
Put that on the screen for me.
Takes his legs away. It's a lazy fall. Again, he knows what he's doing, but I think you can say he committed to the charge down and just rolled into him.
Penalty? Yeah, me too.
It's a tricky one, isn't
So it's quite late, only a penalty, but it will be a penalty when the ball lands.
And the decision.
I don't think so. He just missed the timing, and it's a penalty.
Harry Wilson has been busy lobbying every time we've gone up to the TMO, but that will remain just the penalty. However, it will be Australia's ball from where the ball landed.
It's obviously a little bit more dangerous than the one on low, because he was direct onto him, falls into the knee rather than making a tackle.
Are you sure that he's here, Eric, on the halfway line, or he's on a 10?
Just checking that Eric Gorzat on TMO is picking out the exact point where the ball landed.
You could argue as well, Ben, that he doesn't need to collapse that last movement. Actually, he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's likely to take the player out or stop their run.
Late, not in a realistic position to touch the ball down.
It's a tactic that lots of teams are trying to do, because if you can take that last kicker out of play, there's no one to put everyone on side, and so it gives the counter-attack a great opportunity to get great momentum.
It's 2 to go. Big minute, big moment for the Wallabies here.
the
Can
50.
they extend that lead?
Valentini to Wilson. Creates a tasty-looking blindside on this near left-hand side, but Australia, for the time being, digging to the right with Valentini. Gordon now comes to the left. Wilson, oh, he is asking a little bit too much of McWright there. Rob Valentini, by the way, 10 carries as we approach half-time. He has been busy. So's McWright, but yeah, they've got some star players, the Wallabies, in the back row, and we're seeing the best of them today.
That's a mark.
Michael Hooper retiring earlier in the year. Fraser McRice is doing as much as he can to fill that shirt. He's riding side saddle with Valentini.
Let's go, guys, please, let's go.
21 carries between the back row. Wilson's carried well as well. I think Frost has had a really bright first half for Australia.
Really great opportunity. You know, hopefully we'll get something from the scrum, but an attack here, Australia have to put a certain amount of numbers in the backfield. I look forward to the time when we can actually call a scrum play, but it actually is a great launch pad. You have to respect the 50-22. You've got to put two and a half players in the backfield. That gives you a great attacking options up front, and I mean, perfect time for Ireland to come in now. The clock's just about to turn red to get something against the run of play.
That was Finlay Beaglam winning his personal battle with James Slipper that led to the penalty, that's led to this line out as we get into bonus time at the end of this first half in Dublin. Ryan, Prendergast, Aki, Henshaw running hard. Tight bird. Gibson Park, Aki. Ireland pecking away just outside Australia's 22. This is Doris, the captain. Makes good ground. That ground has been hard to find in the first 40. Off the floor to the arms of Doris, and then McCarthy changes direction. Prendergast, again, you didn't know whether he was going to kick or pass. He went for the pass in the end to Lowe, who did well to keep it alive, but in the end it's just Australian ball. And that is half-time. And Australia doing all they can to spoil the IRFU's